independent in thoughts, and punk rock in life. It's The Chad Benson Show.
It is near impossible to imagine that President Trump would select a nominee who isn't hostile to our health care law and health care for millions and millions and millions of Americans, who isn't hostile to a woman's freedom to make her own health care decisions.
Ooh. Fear. Fear, man, I'm telling you. When I was a salesperson selling in the world of stocks and bonds and commodities and whatnot, psychology books we read, we talk about fear. Fear gets you to do anything. Fear gets you to do anything. It'll get you to do anything, just about. It really will. So if you're a Democrat right now and your last best hope of stopping the president and his pick is fear. But also fear is going to get you to act in a way. Act in a certain way to get you to do something. Give money. Get out to vote. Whatever it needs to have happen, it's going to get you to do it. That's what fear is about. Fear's great. I tell you, you got to lose 40 pounds by the end of the year. Or what? No, I'm just saying you lose 40 pounds. Oh, okay. I tell you, you got to lose 40 pounds by the end of the year or you're going to die. You're going to lose 40 pounds. You are. You listen to any great psychologist, business leader, right? Personal development coach. Any of these people will tell you fear is it. If you can get people to do something out of fear, boom, they'll do it. Both sides use fear. And they get people going, oh, my God, oh, my God. I mean, listen to this right here.
This nomination could move the court in a really dangerous direction.
It's a very thin line between putting a woman in prison for a stillbirth or a miscarriage that she's blamed for something she did during her pregnancy and criminalizing abortion.
So what's at stake are their constitutional rights, the protection against the abuses of power by the president, by Congress, by corporate America.
For instance, federal survivor benefits from Social Security, federal worker pensions could be lost.
They also want to criminalize abortion in this country. They're literally trying to punish women. And I think the legacy that this president is creating really is turning back the clock 100 years.
But we are in an unparalleled moment of assault on the rule of law.
So basically, if you are not a straight white male in America right now, you are probably freaking out.
Fear. Fear, fear, fear. How am I going to get you to react to something? Fear, that's how. How am I going to get you to do something? Well, I can't reason with you at this point in time to get you to react. I can't do certain things because it may get you to react a little bit, but it may not get you to follow through. But damn it, I can scare you to death. I can. I can scare you to death. And in scaring you to death, I get you to react. Fear. Fear is it. You're going to lose everything. Obama came along. The fear was out there on the right. Taking away our guns. Taking away our God. Sharia law. Fear. None of it ever happened. You listen to any of these great people out there that talk about the mind, they'll tell you that no matter what it is, right? No matter what it is, you build something up in your mind that is so horrific, rarely is anywhere close to what you think it is, and more often than not, nothing ever happens. I'm here to tell you, people, nothing's going to happen. We may go through 2 or 3 picks before we get to the person everybody settles on. We'll find out, because as we all know, there's going to be a lot of pushback. There's going to be more fear-mongering. There's going to be more things out there where the left is going to scream and yell and talk about all of this craziness, and they'll say stuff like this.
Everyone ought to understand what it means for the freedom of women to make their own health care decisions and for the protection for Americans with pre-existing conditions. Those rights will be gravely threatened.
Fear. Have they been looking to change Obamacare? Yes. But rather than say that the change from Obamacare is coming, it's just better to say all of you are going to lose your insurance overnight. Anybody who goes to get an abortion, potentially you're going to be put in jail for murder. And God forbid you even have a stillbirth. Something bad happens to you, your girlfriend, your wife, whatever it is, and all of a sudden the baby's born without a heartbeat and they can't resuscitate it and it dies, you're probably going to go to jail. Fear. It's what it is, man. It's fear. Because it gets you to act. It gets you to make a move. It gets you to do something. That's what it does. Love will get you to do something. Emotion gets you to do things. But there's no love here, right? It's hate. That's another emotion. But rather than the hate, it's the fear, right? It's the fear of getting you to act. How can I get you to act? How can I get you to move? How can I get you to do something? I'll talk about taking away everything. I'll talk about taking away every ounce of your life. I will talk about changing democracy and destroying the world. I'll talk about all of those things. That's the best way to do it. That's the only way to do it. I'll talk about those things. Because right now, they got nothing. They can't stop it. Right? You can't. So what are you going to do?
Americans see beyond this far-left mongering, this kind of fear-mongering they've tried over and over again for 40 years.
Here's my issue with a lot of this stuff, and this goes to the right, too, with Obama, is where were you years later? Being a political pundit, being somebody like this, being even a politician, you get to be kind of like the weatherman, right? See, it's going to rain tomorrow. It didn't rain. Oops. And you move on. You never held accountable. Well, it's the weather, right? So in 6 months or a year or 2 years from now, when abortion is still legal, when the LGBT community still has all the things they have right now, when Roe v. Wade's not even really been challenged, maybe by the states here and there, you're going to get some of that. But when, Brown versus the Board of Education, all of these things, when they're still intact, what do you do then? What do you do then? Well, they spin it easily by saying, well, it was because of what I said. It was because of the way that I talked. It was because of all of these things that they never took it up. They never challenged it. They never did this. They never did that. It's a bunch of crap. Fear. It's what they use. It's what both sides does. You have to do what? If you want to be a superhero, this weekend Ant-Man and Wasp came out, right? So they have to fight somebody. Because Ant-Man and Wasp catching people dressed like the Hamburglar, not cool beans. You need a monster to fight. You need something bad to fight, right? Like the Avengers just fighting crime, not cool. Like that's like, oh, was that cool? No, it wasn't cool. It was the Avengers. Well, they stopped a carjacker, went after some guys who were, I don't know, like strong arm robbery. It's like, oh, really? Yeah, that's kind of stupid. No, you need a monster. You need a Thanos. And right now, you've got Marvel and DC, and each one of them looks at the other one and saying, you're the bad guy, you're the bad guy, you're the bad guy, you're the bad guy. Because you need a monster to fight. And how do you fight the monster? You tell everybody that you're the only one who knows how to fight the monster. And the monster is over there. And it's Trump, and it's any male, white, 50-something-year-old man who works in politics or has an R by their name. They're bad. They're evil. They're coming for you. Fear. The only way that they could be stopped, though, is by you giving me money and you giving me power. You telling me I have the power to stop them. But you got to vote for me. That's your power. Your power is you vote for me, and that power comes to me, and then I will take it amongst myself to smite them. Such crap. It really is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet along with me. Hope you're doing well. Thank Greg Knapp for filling in last week. Appreciate that, my man. Text the program. Got a poll question up. It is Roe v. Wade. Because that is the big fear, right? That somehow along the way, this is going to be just spun out, turned away, over, done, period. What do you say? Do you think with Trump's newest SCOTUS pick, Roe v. Wade will be overturned? 11% of you say yes. 70% say no, it won't. 19% say they're undecided. Take the poll at Chad Benson. So you can tweet at me. You can also text the program as well. Cryptocurrencies, they're awesome, but you got to know what you're doing before you even think about venturing into them. That's where I come in. And by I mean my friend Tiki Tawari from the Palm Beach Letter. I tell everybody, people say, what have you been investing in? I say, I look at all kinds of things, but this was always something that was very interesting. My uncle and the guys that I work with put it together and say, hey, look at all these great things that we can do with this. A lot of it was about things like the blockchain and other things like, wow, this is amazing. People didn't know how to invest in it. And some people got lucky, smart people. Other people, they didn't. You need to know what you're doing. Diversification is key. Opportunities to make money are huge. Tiki Tawari from the Palm Beach Letter, former Wall Street guy, former hedge fund guy. He's going to show you how. He's got a brand new course just for you. Help you profit from cryptos. I'm just going to tell you what cryptos are, how you use them, how they even work, which one he recommends to buy. How do you actually buy one? Where do you get them at? What exactly is all of this? He's going to show you the ins, the outs, the ups and the downs, everything you need to know about cryptocurrencies. Check this course out. You will not be disappointed. AmazingCryptoClass.com. 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 At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. You can also, as well as say, text the program, but you can also check us on the Facebook. We got the poll question up there as well. Chad Benson Show. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Feel free to punk this punk rocker any time of the day or night. Reach Chad on Twitter at Chad Benson Show and on Instagram at Chad Benson Show. And oh yeah, the Chad Benson Show on Facebook too. Punk that.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer says it's a critical pick for American women.
The fate of the affordable health care and a woman's freedom to make the most sensitive medical decisions about her body.
Republican Mitch McConnell says some Democrats won't accept anyone Mr. Trump picks.
It doesn't matter who he's putting forward.
Which is what Senator McConnell did when he didn't allow hearings or a vote on President Obama's pick, Merrick Garland. Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
So they're fighting before it's begun, and they're going to fight when they miss, when they meet, if they ever meet, because many of these Democrats may not even give this guy any kind of, or gal, whoever it is. I know a lot of people over the weekend were speculating. And remember, it doesn't matter who it is, right? It does not matter who it is because the process isn't going to be an overnight thing. I know Trump and them would like to get it done sooner rather than later, and I think they will get it done before the election. But the reality is you don't know what somebody's capable because some of these people may not want to be up for the game. They think they are, right? They think they're ready for the political beast of Washington, of MSNBC, of CNN, of even the Breitbarts and the Foxes of the world. And the reality is, once you get inside of there, it isn't all you thought it was going to be. And that many times, the process itself, you're just over. So just because there's a pick doesn't mean that's the pick that it's going to end up being the next Supreme Court justice. Now, the Republicans have everything going for them. I read a great article this week. It's a perfect example. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was talking about the fact that in her day, the partisan BS was there, but just not really like it is now, right? And that she was worried because she was, at times, a big member of the ACLU and did a lot of things. She was a controversial pick. Yet she got through rather easily. I think it was 94-6, something like that. And she was saying that Orrin Hatch was her biggest supporter. Orrin Hatch was her biggest supporter. Orrin Hatch. Think about that for a second. You're never going to find that today, right? Mitch McConnell is not going to be this person's biggest supporter. Nancy Pelosi is not going to be this person's biggest supporter. Bernie Sanders is not going to be this person's biggest supporter. Maxine Waters is not going to be. You get where I'm going. Not going to be not only the biggest supporter, even a half-ass supporter. Doesn't matter. And I think a big portion of that is the fact that we have social media, and it's right in front of us all the time, nonstop. And so our base that used to have to call, and our secretary, he or she would take the phone call, and the assistant would, and this, that, and the other, and you'd have a bunch of things, and you really would be like, and you could send a letter. That doesn't happen now. It's a different world. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter each and every day at this time. We break it out for you like it's hot, and with it being hot today, we got one that's extra hot for you. We call it our Urban Word of the Day.
It's time for the Urban Word of the Day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban Word of the Day.
Today's Urban Word, Trumpian. Malevolent and ill-advised. Your plan to slash her tires is really Trumpian. Your plan to call her out because she's Pocahontas is really Trumpian, Chad. You can use that all the time now. You can go Trumpian on somebody. Trumpian is your Urban Word of the Day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the Urban Word of the Day. We damn stretched your cranium.
So the boys are coming out slowly but surely. As of today in Thailand, they have eight kids that are out. There are four more kids and the coach that are left. It takes a long time. Remember, it's some 2 miles down there in darkness. They're getting pulled. They're following basically a rope that has been put there to help guide them, a guide rope all the way through. It is a dangerous thing. It is taking plenty of time because they want to do it right. These kids have never scuba dived before, so you're telling an 11-year-old, a 12 or 13-year-old, put this breathing apparatus on, and by the way, we're going to go in the pitch black dark. Don't panic. That's a tough thing to do. Adam Andrzejewski is going to join us next. We're going to talk about the swamp. Is it getting drained fast enough? He's got a new book out called Draining the Swamp. Man, I don't think it's getting there fast enough. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Drain the swamp. Trump promised to drain said swamp. It's tough to do because it's not just the muckety mucks that you see up there in the higher positions. It's a lot of other people that just enjoy being in the swamp. Joining us now is Adam Andrzejewski. Operation Draining the Swamps, his new book out there. He's also the CEO of a company and of a website you guys should all check out. It's called openthebooks.com, and it's really interesting. Talks a lot about the public sector spending because we spend way too much. Adam, thanks so much for joining us today. And are we draining the swamp yet?
So I think the president's got a good take on it. He's trying to drain it, but the swamp is fearsome. It resists all comers. You know, we show in our book that all the way back to Reagan in '83, he said that it's tough to remember you came here to drain the swamp when you're up to your armpits in alligators. The way to Nancy Pelosi in 2006, she vowed to drain the swamp. The party out of power, they always want to drain the swamp, but it's fearsome, and it costs taxpayers a tremendous amount of money, Chad.
You know, it's not just about, I think a lot of people think it's all about money. No, the average person there, it is. They got nice six-figure salaries. They're getting bonuses, you know, all these things. But there's power there. A lot of people who have that power, who you'd like to get out of the swamp, they want the power. They got all the money from the other things they did in life.
There is a lot of position power. So we identified, you know, the real resistance in the swamp are those positions that hand out federal grants, for instance. So you're exactly right, Chad. There's 120,000 program managers, analysts, and their bosses that in the last year of the Obama administration, fiscal year 2016, they doled out nearly $600 billion worth of federal grants. And we found that there's nearly a grant for everybody. For instance, if you're a child in China and you want to learn how to cross your busy street, the American taxpayer funded $200,000 for a virtual reality platform to teach Chinese kids how to cross their busy streets. If you're a senior citizen in Boston, Massachusetts, the American taxpayer funded a $700,000 grant to teach the elderly Tai Chi in a senior center in Boston, Massachusetts. And if you're a California prostitute, the American taxpayer put $1.5 million into sex education for California prostitutes, and they could probably teach the class.
That's insane. What was that? There was that guy that was always on late night TVs. It was always selling you, there's a grant and you can get a grant. You just need to know where to look. The reality is that's true, Adam. You just need to know where to look.
It is true. And Chad, when you fly your little private plane out to Martha's Vineyard and land in that shishi little airport, the American taxpayer put $9.2 million of grants, of subsidies into the airport at Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, God, it's embarrassing. Talking to Adam Andrzejewski, Operation Draining the Swamp, really interesting book, indeed. You know, like I said, there's a power brokers there. When you hear how much that we waste, it's insane. But then you get down to the other side of the swamp, which is the run-of-the-mill people, the people that, when I was a kid, Adam, I don't know about you, but I'm 47. When I was a kid, you work for the city, you work for the government. You didn't get paid as much as the private sector, but you had good benefits and you had a retirement, and that's what you did. Now they get paid better than the private sector. They have amazing benefits. It's not like it used to be.
Well, you're exactly right. And we put numbers to this, and it's in the book. Everyone can buy it at Amazon, Operation Drain the Swamp. Here's what you'll find. We found that in 78 large federal agencies, the average pay now exceeds six figures, $100,000. But it's a compensation package, Chad. So it's not only about these high six-figure salaries, it's also about bonuses. And we found that last year, 1 million federal bureaucrats got a performance bonus. And it's not only about the pay and the bonuses, but it's also about paid time off. And we found that if you survive just 3 years in your position in the federal bureaucracy, your 3-year anniversary, you stand in line to get 8.5 weeks, 43 days a year of paid time off, which is 10 holidays, 13 sick days, and 20 vacation days. And, Chad, this isn't France.
You know, and this is the thing that's scary is as you talk about those monies. My fear has always been, okay, we're spending so much, big government, it's a waste of time. I think we know that. You just talked about that. But the thing that I've always wondered is, how does somebody get a bonus? I get it if you're a salesperson. How does the run-of-the-mill person in government get a bonus, just pushing the paper? What are you doing that gets you a bonus?
So this is why everyone's got to read the book. I authored it, so I'm partial to it. But seriously, questions like this we have in there. We found in 2015 a government accountability audit, and this is what it said: 99.6% of all federal bureaucrats in the executive agencies are rated highly successful. And, Chad, that's impossible. The advertised purity of Ivory soap is only 99.7%.
Talking to Adam Andrzejewski, his new book's called Operation Draining the Swamp. You should get it at Amazon, wherever books are sold. So we look at all these kind of things, right? But when we think about it, it is crazy to think about how much money that some of these people are making, but also what they're doing for the country. Because literally, some of these people are making, $70, $80, $100,000 a year, and they're literally handing a piece of paper to another person. And I sit there and I scratch my head. This is what people want: big government. You hear all the time people coming out, Bernie, hey, we're going to guarantee everybody a job, and all these people. And we can't afford this as a country to give everybody a job paying $100,000 a year.
Well, you're exactly right. In the revolving door, for instance, from the Ivy League colleges into the federal government, into politicians, and back again of taxpayer money back into the Ivy League is stunning. We took a look at this, and we write it up in the book, that in a 6-year period, the 8 colleges of the Ivy League, our most elite schools, scooped up a taxpayer-paid-for benefit of $42 billion. which amounted to federal direct payments on contracts and grants, federal subsidies, and special tax treatment of their investment funds like their $120 billion endowments.
Oh, God. And in the book, you guys also talk about the VA. This is right. So the VA's been a mess, right? We knew it was a mess before. All of a sudden, this whole scandal breaks out in Arizona. All of these things are going on, and we realize what a mess this is. And then we find out what some of these people are making, some of these doctors are making, and they're getting bonuses. Nobody seems to be getting fired, the other beauty of working for the government. And that, to me, is, I think, a slap in everybody's face.
Right. So we took a look. I mean, everybody will remember the scandal that broke at Veterans Affairs starting in 2014. At the nexus of the scandal, a sick veteran couldn't get in to see a doctor because the VA claimed a lack of budget and they didn't have enough doctors on staff. So we took a look at their hiring practices in the 2 years before the scandal broke and the 3 years after the scandal, when Congress threw literally tens of billions of dollars at the VA. The VA actually added 50,000 new positions to payroll, but less than 5,100 of those new positions were for doctors. And Chad, today 500,000 sick veterans wait longer than 30 days to see a doctor because the VA hasn't hired enough doctors.
And it's not like they're not available, right? That they added a ton of police officers. They could add almost 1,000 doctors. They added a ton of police officers. And now we're having to send our veterans out to other doctors, and we're paying for that too. We're doubly paying for something. It's ridiculous, Adam. It really is.
Well, you're exactly right about that. We found 167 interior decorators and designers on staff, and every single 5-year period, the American taxpayer funds those salaries to the tune of $60 million. You referenced the police corps at the VA. This is something that's new since 1996. And we reached out to the VA because it's steadily grown every single year. First they had a couple hundred police officers. Now it's up to nearly 3,500 police officers. So we reached out to the VA to find out what the heck they're doing. Their crime statistics, their job performance statistics and reports. And the VA has no documents responsive to our request. Now, it's $172 million a year the American taxpayer pays for those salaries. And we determined the VA could hire 1,000 doctors.
Nuts. And Andrzejewski joining us. Operation Draining the Swamp. Big government's out there. It's everywhere. If you look at it, besides the fact that we need to cut look, I'm not saying we cut all grants, because I think a lot of those grants are good. We don't get rid of all people, because that's ridiculous. You can have a small government and it could be incompetent and overspend. But if you looked at this, what are a few of the things, Adam, you think that if you did these things, it would be definitely something that would be better for the American people, and it would save us billions and billions of dollars?
So the first thing is to get rid of the reform. We need to reform federal grants to the Fortune 100. This is a huge line item. These are our most successful corporations. They've literally gamed the system for personal gain. Now, you and I can make a public interest argument that federal contracts, should go to the best and brightest in the private sector, that we should not add to the bureaucracy. But what I'm talking about are federal grants. These are giveaways. These are subsidies. The Fortune 100 companies, they don't need these taxpayer payouts. And over the course of the last 3 fiscal years, it has cost the American taxpayer $3.2 billion of federal grants into the Fortune 100.
Nuts. Absolutely crazy. Operation Draining the Swamp. Adam Andrzejewski joins us today. Appreciate you coming on. Very interesting. And the amount of money that we waste is incredible. And the fact is we seem to continue to do the same thing over and over. So I think part of that is on us as well. Appreciate you coming on today, Adam.
Chad, thanks for your interest in our work. I look forward to coming back on your program.
Thanks so much. And we do. We do. Part of that blame that goes to that is us, because we continue to vote the same people in over and over who don't do it. But for some people, it's tough. No matter how hard, you could vote one person in that you think is going to do something, but unless he or she can bend enough ears, it's got to be a big movement, and it's going to have to start in a smaller way at local municipalities, through state governments, and then nationwide. It's not going to be an overnight thing. And I think Trump's doing all he can in some ways that we don't even understand, that we don't see. His payroll and his is down 22% compared to Barack Obama's payroll. So that's something good, but it's so small. It's so tiny. It's like trying to drain the ocean with a Dixie cup. You don't really see it or feel it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
It is near impossible to imagine that President Trump would select a nominee who isn't hostile to our health care law and health care for millions and millions and millions of Americans, who isn't hostile to a woman's freedom to make her own health care decisions.
SCOTUS! Big pick. What will happen? We're going to find out what happens. But Chad, we'll find out. It's a long, drawn-out process. Just because you go, that's the one I want, doesn't mean that person's it. But along the way, let me tell you what will happen. I'm not a soothsayer. I'm a person that looks for patterns, and I know what the patterns are. You come out and you tell the world that this is the end of the world, that the end of the world that you women have liked is come to an end. Your opportunity to choose is over. Period. Case closed. Soon you won't be able to vote. Jim Crow laws will be reenacted. They're going to be reenacted. Boom, away we head. From there, Brown versus the Board of Education. Sorry. Not going to happen. Oh, it's happening. We're going to suspend the Constitution as we see it today because Trump wants to be emperor. That will happen. That's what they've promised us. That's what they've guaranteed us. That is what it is. Ladies, you're first to pay the price.
Everyone ought to understand what it means for the freedom of women to make their own health care decisions and for the protection for Americans with pre-existing conditions. Those rights will be gravely threatened.
Oh, gravely threatened. It's over. It's done. That's it. Trump has now paved the way to be king, emperor. He is our new Caesar. Shakespearean as it is. That's what it is, kids. That's what it is. This is what happens here. All right? Take a listen to here. Take a gander to this. Open your ears up to the fear that the left is going to unleash. The same kind of fear that the right unleashed with Obama at first. Because that's what we do. We no longer can say, my ideas may be better than your ideas. Vote us in and we'll show you. Now what we say is, they're evil. They're awful. They're the thing that lurks in your closet. They're the thing that's under your bed. They're the thing that comes at night. They're the things that are in the deepest, darkest, evil parts of the web. That's what they are. And only I can save you from their dastardly deeds.
This nomination could move the court in a really dangerous direction.
It's a very thin line between putting a woman in prison for a stillbirth or a miscarriage that she's blamed for something she did during her pregnancy and criminalizing abortion.
So what's at stake are their constitutional rights, the protection against the abuses of power by the president, by Congress, by corporate America.
For instance, federal survivor benefits from Social Security, federal worker pensions could be lost.
They also want to criminalize abortion in this country. They're literally trying to punish women. And I think the legacy that this president is creating really is turning back the clock 100 years.
But we are in an unparalleled moment of assault on the rule of law.
So basically, if you are not a straight white male in America right now, you are probably freaking out.
This is what they do. Because fear is an emotion that they can get you to act upon. Fear will get you to do anything and or stop you from doing anything. That is the power of fear. That is the absolute power of fear. It can get you to do things that you didn't think you could do, but you have to do. And it will stop you from doing other things. If I told you that if you didn't lose 40 pounds by the end of the year, you were going to die, you'd figure out a way to lose 40 pounds. That fear would cause you to eat better and cause you to stop eating hamburgers and all these other things. Drinking, do those. That's what fear will do. So this is what SCOTUS is all about. Right now, it's about raising money. Is it going to tip the court in one direction? It is. Could it potentially be generational? Absolutely. If Trump sticks around long enough, I'm not going to lie to you, there's a good chance he has 2 more picks. That will definitely shift it. But the thought process of this is what's going to happen, it's taking away everything ever for everybody in the history of ever. Stop it. Just, it gets old. It does. But this is what you have to do. You have to go out there, you have to scream, you have to yell, you have to shout from the top of your lungs. Let me tell you how bad this is going to be. Let me tell you what you're going to lose. Let me tell you what they're going to take from you. It's not even what you're going to lose. Let me tell you how you're going to be a victim. Because that's what you are. You're going to be a victim. And the right is the one who's going to victimize you. And you're going to be that victim. And the only way that this can be stopped, the only way that this will be fixed is if you send me money and eventually you vote for me. We always get mad at televangelists that say, I need a new jet because the Lord has spoken to me and he needs me to fly around in this kind of jet, right? There was that James Dupree or Jim, whatever his name was, that guy a couple weeks ago we were joking about. You don't ever get mad about any of this other crap, right? You get mad about the fact that they ask you for money constantly. Both sides of the parties do. They ask you for money and they tell everybody how the world's coming to an end. And if you don't get to doing what you need to do to support them, meaning more often than not, send them money, they can't fight the demons for you. They're like, look, I got my demon shooter right here. The problem is I don't have demon shooter bullets and laser beams, so you're going to have to give me money for that. It's crazy. It's a couple weeks ago here. The Democratic, this is great. As it gets hotter here in the AZ, as we all know, the Democrats' air conditioner went out at the one of the headquarters here for the Democrats, and they actually sent out an email asking for money to pay for a new air conditioner for their building. Probably because evil Republicans made it happen. They're bad and evil. They're going to make it happen. Mitch McConnell.
Americans see beyond this far-left mongering, this kind of fear-mongering they've tried over and over again for 40 years.
Yeah. Both sides do it, though, Mitch. You guys, like, both sides have fear-mongered. That's what you do. And fear is one of those emotions, one of the very few emotions that will actually get you to do something. Maybe the most powerful of all emotions is fear. But it has a different kind of power because it has the power not only to make you do something, it also has the power to stop you from doing something. It's fear. No, I don't think Roe v. Wade's going to be overturned. We'll touch on that. I don't think Brown versus the Board of Education is going to be overturned. I've heard all kinds of stuff. Some of the stuff that I get text and tweeted at, I shake my head and I think to myself, who's listening to you? Right? Like, where would you even get that idea? Where would you even get that idea? And one of the things that we've talked about is the fact that for all of this other stuff, right, for all of the posturing and the screaming, the yelling, I'm not saying that there aren't going to be certain things inside of Roe v. Wade that aren't going to be challenged, that states won't challenge certain things, because they will. But is it going to go away forever? No. And then that'll make you make a choice. The whole thing is about having states' rights, right? So if a state has a right to do something and put a restriction on certain things, they do it for guns. I never hear anybody on the left bitch, whine, and moan and scream about guns. Like what happens in California when they're like, hey, we want to reduce what a magazine could hold. We want to reduce what you can own. We want to make sure that you can't buy this here. We want to make sure you do this. We want to make sure you do. I never hear them come out about that. So yeah, they're not saying you can't own guns. They're just trying to push you into one area of kind of gun you can own. And some states say, look, we're not saying you can't get an abortion, but these are the hoops and you have to jump through the hoops, which may cause you to have to drive across the state line. Sounds weird. Sounds 1950s-ish. But it's not going anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. And it's spoken. And that's something that I think people need to realize. It's been spoken for. It's pretty much settled law. And for all intents and purposes, what you're going to find is that many of these judges that are, no matter who ends up being the one, many of these judges are going to sit back and say, I don't want to go over that one again. Sorry, that's been settled. We're moving on. We're looking forward, not looking in the past as far as cases. We're looking forward, not looking in the past. We're looking forward. Because if I do it for that one, then somebody's going to say, well, you need to do it for this one. And if you do it for this one, then you're going to have to do it for that one. If you do it for that one, you're going to have to do it for this one. If you do it for this one, you're going to have to do it for that one. And I think what you're going to find a lot with the not only the SCOTUS, the new lineup, if you will, is that there's going to be a lot of stuff that people think, well, if we get to the SCOTUS's hands, they're going to side with us. And what you're going to find a lot is some of the stuff that a lot of people are going to think that, yeah, they're going to be all over this thing. They're going to kick it back down. Say, no, we don't want to hear it. Whatever the last ruling was, that's the ruling we're going to go with. And I think that's going to frustrate a lot of people. But it's fear. And understand, fear is an emotion, and that emotion will get people to do a lot of things, particularly with their wallet, their checkbook, their bank account. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. We got a poll question up today. Pretty easy poll question. You think Roe v. Wade will be overturned because of this new pick? Chad Benson Show. I've been talking about Bitcoin for years, and I believe that the blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies are the future. My uncle and I began investing years ago, and even though they're extremely volatile, Bitcoin performs like it did in 2017.
Welcome to Chad. No, not the country. The institution. The Chad Benson Show.
I think a lot of what we need to talk about is what values our immigration system has been legislated on. The original roots of the U.S. immigration system, the first immigration law was the Chinese Exclusion Act, and our immigration system is built on a premise of exclusion.
We live in modern times. We can't include everybody, right? Right? There are rules. You want to play in the NFL? You go through training camp. They have 100 players. By the end of it, there's 53. 47 players will be excluded from participating on that team. That's the rule. We have rules, right? We have rules. Period. So I know Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It sounds great that that we can be more inclusive, which I think we can. And I tell you guys, last week I talked about it to several people, some of which are in government. And I said, why don't we do something here in North America like they do in Europe, where we can freely move about each other's countries, but maybe not to the extent that they do in Europe, but that we have a certain amount of freedoms granted to people coming from Mexico and maybe Central America, us going to Mexico or Central America if we wanted to work, or Canada and vice versa, that we have a little bit of that. And that we set up a certain amount of visas aside, easier to get than other people that are coming here from all over the place. Why not? That's being inclusive to our neighbors, right? To our top hat and tails here in America, right? Because Canada is America's top hat and Mexico's America's tails, top hat and tails. It's perfect. It's a smart thing to do. That's part of the problem. It's right in front of us. I think it would be great. Allowing freedom to move about the countries a little bit far easier than we have now. But being able to keep tracks of things and then being able to then, on top of that, come down harder on people that really do come here illegally and harder on businesses. Oh, my God, it would be great. But this whole thought of getting rid of ICE or we need to let in anybody, that's insane.
It's built on a premise of choosing who we want out instead of who we want in. Yeah. And I think that really we need to re-examine the values on which, and values of inclusion and values of what this country is about when we talk about our immigration policy.
Yeah. What is it? What is it? Values of inclusion. People want to come here. They're going to come here. Right? If we gave them the opportunity, a good portion, overnight, we would probably become the second most populous country on earth, potentially over time, the first most populous country on earth. We can't do that. That's insane. Do you realize how insane that is? We're not even in that's crazy. But this is what some people think, and they need to, we got to get rid of this. We got to get rid. It's not inclusive enough. We got to get rid of things like ICE.
No border, no wall. We want freedom for us all. No border, no wall. We want freedom for us all. Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE!
Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE! Oh, yeah, abolish ICE. What? Stupid. That's insane. See, it'd be one thing if they came on and said, we need to relook at ICE and maybe doing some things differently. We need to put in something else that will be whatever. What they want is kinder, gentler. They want more. They don't want laws enforced. They want everybody to be looked at as being victimized by this country, not realizing when people come here illegally, not only are they breaking the law, they're stepping over people that have done it right. Right? And on top of that, then they come here with this attitude of, well, I deserve this, this, and this. This is what everybody else is getting. Why shouldn't I get this? We've got to take a step back. We've got to look at this thing in a very real way. But saying we're going to throw everything away because of we need to be more inclusive, it doesn't work. Sorry. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I love these people say, well, I'm a democratic socialist. We need to be more inclusive. Yeah, I'm more like Sweden. Sweden is the least inclusive place on earth. Go there. What do you find? Right? Go there. Go to Denmark. Go to all these places. They're all the same. They're not inclusive. Well, they've allowed it to a certain extent, but they've stopped that because they've seen what some of this inclusiveness has given them. No, we need to be smart. That's it. But we can't because there's no money in it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I don't think President Trump likes to work really hard, and so it's consistent with his MO as president to let others pick the justices for the Supreme Court.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say this. While I'm not a fan of the way Trump has handled some things, immigration, the fact that we have more kids, you know what this whole immigration debacle reminds me of? I was thinking about this off the air. Did you ever watch one of those shows where somebody takes apart an engine and he puts it back together and he has more parts than he had when he's like, oh, wow, I think this goes somewhere. Kind of what's going on right now, right? Like we've got some of these kids, some people may have been deported, but we still have their kids. It's confusing. It was not well done, not well thought out. It will get thought out, I believe, in the end and get sorted out in the end. But to say that Trump doesn't work hard, that right there is a bunch of crap. All right. But the fear is that Trump has allowed this pick to come from the Heritage Foundation and from several other of these right-wing think tank organizations that this is where this has come from and that they're choosing. And it's only them who has choice. I think if we know anything about Trump, Trump is the person who has the last say. And I look at this and I say, you know what? They give you 20. Maybe you cross off 2 or 3, but you're going to always take advice from other people in a situation like this. You don't know the law, but you know what you're looking for. They're going to offer you, because you don't know all the judges, some of the judges and the guidelines that maybe you have, because you know going into something like this, then you've said this, that this was going to be a huge opportunity and pick. Right? You knew going into the presidency that you could potentially have 2, who knows, maybe 3 picks. So you knew that was the potential. And there you have it. The fact that you looked and they've submitted some stuff to you, get over it. Get over it, please. Nobody will. Nobody will. Now it's what's going to happen, right? Because you could have a long list of 18 or 20, short list of 5, uber short list of 1 or 2, choose somebody, and the battle's just now beginning. Because you got to get them their votes.
They have some hope, but they need to hang on to all the Democrats, including Democrats from red states. 10 Democratic senators are up for re-election from states that Trump won, including 3 who crossed over to vote for Neil Gorsuch. So the Democrats need to hang on to them. Plus, they're hoping to woo the moderate Republicans. It's a long-shot strategy, but they have some hope of maybe delaying this until the conditions are more favorable.
Yeah, some hope, but not. I mean, this isn't a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. But the reality is they control everything. The Republicans control it. As this thing goes forward, the Republicans will control it. And some of these, again, when you're looking at the long game here, not just the short game, and you want to be around in the long game, and you look and you say, I come from a state that Trump won, and in some cases easily, do I want to end up getting my ass handed to me? They still get the person through. I take the beating, and then I'm no longer here. Something to think about. Something to think about.
Senator John McCain is home recovering from a brain tumor. That means that only 99 senators will be voting. And under that scenario, 50 votes is the number that it would take to win, assuming that they're going for a simple majority. So for the Republicans, they have 50 votes, but that leaves them very little margin for error. They have to make sure that they hang on to moderate Republicans who might be tempted to jump ship if the position of this nominee is more conservative than they would like.
Yeah. That might be the case. I don't think so. I think in the end, the Republicans will get who they want. It's not going to be pretty. It will be ugly at times, but they will get what they want. Is this person going to be an originalist? Is this person going to be somebody who's uber right and wants to reopen and cases and wants the cases? Because remember, they're not. People always talk about, well, they're going to overthrow Roe v. Wade. One judge isn't going to do that. One judge isn't going to go out. We need to open this again. I need to go through all of these cases. And no, this process in this whole thing. And most people in this country don't want to fight that fight. Most people in this country are like, you know what? We're kind of over this. It's time to move on. But you would think this judge only gets to rule on 1 or 2 things. That's it. Like if there's anything up, like if a union case comes up, right? If a land case comes up, now they're like, you got to leave. This is for other judges. You're the Roe v. Wade judge. You can't be here. You don't know anything about this. You can't be here. You only know about Roe v. Wade. That's it. Maybe LGBT issues. But outside of that, you know nothing else. So you got to go. This is other cases. And that's not true. It's not. And the Republicans, while they have the power, as we all know, the voters like to keep power in check, and they do that by making sure that if you show that you're going to use your power and abuse your power as far as the masses are concerned, they take that power back fast. Now, Tommy Lauren was talking about this and talking about Roe v. Wade. And she's a very conservative person and very conservative. And she touched a bit on it. And we talked about it. Again, if she's 300 pounds, we're probably not talking about it, but we are talking about her. So let's just go there. And the mistake that I think a lot of times hurts Republicans is they go into areas that they don't need to go into.
Pressing for a Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade would be a huge mistake. Yes, the new high court vacancy is a huge opportunity for conservative values and principles. I get it. And I understand the passion behind the pro-life movement. But to use conservatives' newfound power and pull to challenge a decision that, according to a new Quinnipiac poll, most Americans support would be a mistake. This president is winning for the American people on the economy, foreign policy, and tax reform. These are areas that benefit all Americans, regardless of religion or social belief. If we continue to focus on these things and immigration, we'll sail into 2020 with all three branches in our control.
Yeah. I think there's some realness into her in what she's saying. Now, she's been attacked for it. She's been destroyed for it. She's been just absolutely, utterly hammered. You're a fake conservative. You're not this. You're not that. And I just sit there and I shake my head and I said, this is some of the people on the right and some of the people on the left, they live and die based on one issue. They're not here for the long game. They're here for one particular thing. That's it. That's what they're here for. And I don't get it. Again, when it comes to something like choice, I leave choice to whoever. That's your choice. I'll make my choices in life, and I want you bitching at me. I want you screaming at me, and I want you taking my choices away. You make your choices in life. I don't want to be bitching at you, screaming at you. That's fine. I'll pay for my choices. You pay for your choices. And I'm not talking about whether it's a good choice or bad choice. I'm talking about actually dollar bills. You do your thing, and I'll do my thing. We'll stay in each other's lanes, out of each other's lanes. I'll stay in mine, you stay in yours, and that's the way it should be. What happens is the Republicans get dragged into situations, and then they get in there, and then they're in a sandbox they're unfamiliar with, and the rules are made up by the other side, and you're not quite sure what the rules are. Then you get your ass kicked, and you look around, and you say, wow, that didn't work out the way that I thought it was, and At some point in time, you just look and say, it's over, we're moving on with our life. But remember that word I talked about earlier, fear. Fear, fear, fear. They are going to use fear to raise money. They're going to use fear to rile their base. They're going to use fear as their driver for the next umpteen weeks because that's all they have left. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet along with us. And you should tweet along with us, kids. It's a good thing. It really, really, really is a good thing. Getting closer and closer to getting the boys out in Thailand should be coming up in the next few hours. They'll probably start to take the next. I don't know if they're going to take, because they've been taking out two at a time. And the way they work is it's two and then it's two, literally behind each other. And it's a long trek. I think a lot of people think, well, it's scuba stuff. It's a big cave. You just put your gear on. It's not like that.
The four weakest boys rescued 18 lead divers, each accompanied by two divers. With the lead rescuer tethered to a buoy and carrying his oxygen tank, then that 2.5-mile-hour-long return journey through a maze of twisting underwater passages. They were carried on stretchers and rushed to a waiting helicopter for the short flight to a hospital 35 miles away.
Yeah, so it's 2.5 hours. They've got to refill the oxygen. I said, Why don't we have more oxygen tanks? You would think, but whatever. It is what it is. And this is big. You've got an election coming up in Thailand, right? You've got the government wanting to look good in this. They don't want any more disaster, any more nightmare. People are looking at this isn't just let's rescue these boys because it's the right thing to do. There's some political issues behind this as well because of the military and their government and how they run it. And there's some issues here. And it is a long trek. You've got to take some of these kids back through areas that are, first of all, it's pitch black. Right? You're underwater. This isn't like you're going out in the ocean and like, hey, we're at sandals and it's beautiful and I can see the bottom of the ocean. It's not like that. It is murky. It is dark. Even the divers don't know where they're going and they're squeezing through areas that are so small. It's a tough thing. So the way they've done it is they bring 2 out at a time, not too far behind each other. And then that's basically 4. And then it takes another 10 or 12 hours before they start the journey again. I don't know if they're going to try to bring everybody out at once now. Meaning two, and then the third person, the coach, or the last person, the coach, and the last diver. I'm not quite sure how that works, but it's been pretty. I knew it wasn't going to be months. Like we're not keeping it there for months. The longer you go, the more of a chance you're going to have an issue, and people could die. So you got to go when you can go. You got to take the chance when you take the chance. And they're taking that chance. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Listen up, kids. New company I'm working with. Amazing. We've been talking for a while, and they have done some awesome stuff. And I'm telling you right now, I'm partnering with them, and so should you. AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens. They are great, right? They're the exact opposite of that other 50 and older group that doesn't do the things that you probably would like them to do. AMAC does all kinds of things. They protect our borders. That's what they're trying to find. Hey, how can we find great common sense immigration laws and advocate for that? How can we find out a way to fix Medicare and advocate for that? How can we look at Social Security reform and advocate for that? That's what they're in doing. Things that really fit your values. Now, here's a great thing. On top of all of that, they've got great benefits. Travel discounts, roadside assistance, retail, restaurant discounts, so much more. And right now, AMAC is offering my listeners, that's you guys out there, a free membership. Free $99. Means it's free. Doesn't cost you a penny. In fact, they don't even want your credit card. No cost, no tricks, no credit card required. All you have to do is go to amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad. Go to amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1668. That's 888-355-1668. Remember, it's free. Free. Anyone 50 and older, doesn't cost you a penny. Free. Go to amac.com/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad. And that is free. I just want to make sure you guys understand what free means. They're not going to ask you for a credit card. It's free. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage, just lots of gnarly weather. So I'm sitting here looking out my window, and in the space of 45 minutes, it has gone from sunny to pitch black. It looks like it's 9 o'clock, 8:30. Rain, sideways, wind. I love it. I love weather. I do. I think weather's cool. It's just great. Because it sounds weird. Like you grow up in Southern California, it's like, oh, yeah, well, I like weather too. I like it when, 360 days of the year, the weather's perfect. I understand that. But, rain is good too because, as you see in California, everything catches fire. And, every once in a while, it's good to have that. And I've lived all over. I've been fortunate enough to live in a lot of different places. And to me, weather is like one of those things where, like, I loved it when I got to Europe. Because with my red hair and fair skin, I tell you what, man, nothing was cooler than not having to worry about putting sunblock on even at night because it was just so nice. I'm like, oh my God, the rest of you have the same problem I do. You're all fair haired and you got the fair skin and the red hair. It was good. It was good. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So baby names. This is very interesting. So what are the hot baby names? Right? We go through this. I was joking, like Brockton last week. So the top most searched names for 2018 for girls. So this is for girls. Olivia, Amara, Cora, Isla, Charlotte, Aurora, Amelia, Rose, Ava, Genevieve, Maeve, M-A-E-V-E. Why don't you say Maeve? Penelope, Iris, Violet, Ophelia, Eleanor, Esme, Luna, Imogen, and Eloise. Now get ready for this, producer Phil. So we've moved from Brockton. Now we're going to cool guy names, right? Get ready for, what do you think the number one? You will never guess it. I wouldn't even come close. Like, my first guess was Muhammad, right? And I wasn't even close. These are the most searched boy names in 2018. Number one is Atticus.
Really?
Atticus. Yeah. Milo, Jasper, Jack, Boom, Asher, Silas, Theodore, Wyatt, Henry, Declan, Finn, Oscar, Oliver, Leo, Felix, Bodie. What's up, Bodie? Right? Now, this one was this Aryan? A-R-Y-A-N? Arwan?
Oh, you can't have that as a name.
Yeah, right? Arthur, Levi, and Axel. Right? You can't have Aryan as a name. Even if it means something totally benign to some culture somewhere down the road and you think it's good, you can't have it as a name. Can't do it. I watched a show one time, I think it was on like the Discovery Channel, the Hitlers. And there was this guy in like Ecuador or somewhere, Costa Rica, and his dad named him Adolf Hitler, like, Sanchez. And his dad's like, I just like the name. And I thought, wow. But there were families out there who have the last name Hitlers. You would think you'd make a choice of like, you know what? I think I'm going to not go with that one. You would think. It's not like it's Smith. Atticus, though. You got to be balls, man. You got to be Atticus. You got to be tough as nails, man. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
President Trump spent a long weekend at his New Jersey golf club meeting with senior advisors and family as he weighed his final options before settling on a nominee for the Supreme Court. On the president's shortlist, Judge Thomas Hardiman of Pennsylvania, who was the runner-up last year when the president ultimately selected Neil Gorsuch. Hardiman serves in the same circuit as the president's sister, Judge Mary Ann Trump Barry, and sources say her influence is a key reason he was recently moved up into the top tier.
Remember, just because you're chosen doesn't mean you're going to get through. We've seen it before where after a while people say, you know what, I don't want to put my family through this anymore. I don't want to subject myself to this anymore. This has become a political game. So just because you choose who you choose doesn't mean that that person ends up as a new member of SCOTUS. Because you're going to have fights, and you're going to have plenty of fights, plenty of them. And it's interesting because for the Democrats, it's really Roe v. Wade, LGBT. That's kind of what it is. You can make some arguments for a few other things, but the reality is those are the things that they care about the most. And that every one of these people that they're going to look at and say these people are insane. How could you, Trump? These of all, Kennedy's a moderate. He's stepping away. Trust me, I think if Reagan would have figured out what Kennedy was and what he became, probably wouldn't have gone with Kennedy. Over time, in this interpretation, he became far more moderate, I believe. Trump is looking at it much different. And what does age have to play in a lot of these things? Remember, there's probably a lot of qualified 50-somethings out there, but he's looking at the long game.
These justices that have made the final cut are extreme on women's reproductive rights. They're extreme on voting rights, but they are also very extreme on gun rights.
Extreme. You heard that word in there. Extreme. It's extreme. It's extreme. These are extreme people. These are extreme. They're super extreme. They're super extreme. They're extreme. They're extreme. They're extreme, Chad. They're extreme. They're extreme. I sit there and shake my head. Because that's what we talk about all the time, right? You say something nuts. They're extreme. They're going to change everything. Everything is going to change. The world's going to come to an end. Just like Obama took everybody's guns and they took their gods and put us under Sharia law. It's all going to... Oh, wait, that didn't happen. Didn't happen. And it's not going to happen. I'm not saying there's not a fight out there. In some states, they will have their opportunity to fight, and that's the way it was meant to be, was states' rights. But as far as everything changing to the extreme, it's not. It's not. It's not going to happen, right? It isn't. But that's the way we perceive it because we're told that over and over again, and it gets beat into our head over and over again that this is what's going to happen, that this is the only outcome that can happen, is he's going to put somebody on there that's extreme, and then out of that extreme pick, everything's going to happen. Within a week, women are back inside of the house. They're all pregnant, and they can never, ever, ever have a choice over their body, that the LGBT community is going to have to go back in their closets, and those closets are going to be locked from the outside. That Brown versus the Board of Education is going to be tossed out, that all of these things are going to happen, that people are going to be back in chains, that they're going to reenact Jim Crow laws, that this is all going to happen. This is extreme. It's not going to happen. But Chad Blumenthal said it was extreme. Whatever. Please settle down. Tommy Lauren, who you know what? I'm going to say this. Producer Phil, should I say this? I think I should say this.
Go ahead,
Conservatives love because she's conservative, but let's be real. You love her because she's hot, right? Like, is that fair? Right? If she's $3 bills, and it's got, upper lip hair, we're not paying attention to her. Chad, I'm just saying there's some honesty. You guys wanted honesty? Put it right on the plate for you. She's getting hammered because on her show, she said, look, it's a mistake to do this, and I think she's right.
Decision to overturn Roe v. Wade would be a huge mistake. Yes, the new high court vacancy is a huge opportunity for conservative values and principles. I get it. And I understand the passion behind the pro-life movement. But to use conservatives' newfound power and pull to challenge a decision that, according to a new Quinnipiac poll, most Americans support would be a mistake. This president is winning for the American people on the economy, foreign policy, and tax reform. These are areas that benefit all Americans, regardless of religion or social belief. If we continue to focus on these things and immigration, we'll sail into 2020 with all three branches in our control.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always been the issue with Republicans. You go and you fight these battles that you don't need to fight. If you go out there, but Chad, I'm pro-life. I get it. You're pro-life. You would make that choice, but life is about choices. All things, right? All choices. You would make that choice. That's on you. Somebody else may want to make that choice. That's on them. That is. And Tommy Lauren is right. And that's what this is going to become. This is going to become social issues based, which is what we are nowadays. Is the left believes this and they believe their morality is the right way. The right believes their morality is the right way. The reality is your morality is your morality. Don't try to spread it around everybody else. You live your life and you stay in your lane. I'll live my life and stay in my lane. We talk about stuff here. I give you my facts and I give you the opinions that I have, and we talk about those things. But it doesn't matter if it's voting or any of these other things. You do what you think is right for you. Tommy Lauren is right. When you get into the issues, especially the social issues, the Republicans fail more often than not because they get themselves into a situation where they allowed them to be pulled into a sandbox, and a sandbox which they don't really understand the rules, and they get their asses handed to them.
Let's go after sanctuary cities and push for voter ID laws. We lose when we start tampering with social issues. Consider this. When Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch got to his confirmation hearings with the Senate Judiciary Committee, he was grilled on the so-called Trump litmus test on abortion. He responded by telling Senator Lindsey Graham he would have walked out the door if Trump had asked him to overturn Roe.
Yeah. That's right. And I think, you know what? You let it be. And there's several Republicans out there that have also talked about that. Let it be. Let it be. Now, for a lot of people, they don't want to hear that. She's been absolutely obliterated. You're not even a real conservative. You know, they do what they do. They go and they attack because that's what people do. If you agree with 93% of what I say, you're only going to focus on the 7% that we don't agree upon, and that's where you attack. You're going to lose this, and it's silly. It really is. You just let it lie. It's been spoken for. It's there. It's been ruled upon. At some point in time, you go, you know what? We go from there. Because if I start doing if I go from here and we do this, then we're going to have to all of a sudden open up this bottle over here with all of these other genies that have all been ruled upon, and now we're going to have to rule on all of these other things. Let states have their say to a certain extent. Obviously, it's not going to be, I think if we don't overturn it at all, which I don't think we will, I think at some point in time, you are going to allow states to do certain amount of things, just like they do with guns. I mean, you look at California, guns there are totally different than, say, Arizona, Texas, other places. The way they restrict guns, open carry, concealed carry, all of those things, totally different. Totally different. And I think you'll get that with abortion to a certain extent. They're not going to outlaw it, but some states will challenge certain things in there, or they'll put other things inside of what is existing, things that you have to do extra hoops to jump through. But when you try to challenge it across the board and you make it about one or two social issues, you're going to get hammered, and that will come back to bite you in the ass. Stuff that has been spoken for, you leave it lie. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. I slept like a rock. Why? My Pillow. Do you guys know what a BOGO is? Buy one, get one free. Oh, buy one, get one. Yeah, they're doing that right now. And My Pillow, it is incredible. It really is. I sleep like a rock. And you will too. You will absolutely love it. I feel energized, better than I felt in forever. And you know what? I took a couple days off last week, and one of the things I was able to do is I like to take naps. I usually don't for a long time. I never slept well at night, but I take a nap during the day, and I felt okay. I took my naps a couple days on top of all the other stuff. It is amazing. I'm catching up on years of no sleep thanks to My Pillow. Right now, special offer. Buy one, get one. BOGO. Right? Promo code that you're going to use is Benson. Call 800-944-4975 or go to mypillow.com. Use promo code Benson. 100% machine washable and dryable. Made in the USA. Backed by a 10-year warranty. Offers limited. Get yours today. Buy one, get one free. Call 800-944-4975 or go to mypillow.com. Use my promo code. The promo code you use is Benson, B-E-N-S-O-N. Buy one, get one free. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. C-H-A-D-B-E-N-S-O-N. You can tweet at us. You can text the program. Man, we got all kinds of ways. You could skywrite us if you want to, but I'm not quite sure I'll see it. But if you'd like to try, we're good with that. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to Chad. No, not the country. The institution. The Chad Benson Show.
I think a lot of what we need to talk about is what values our immigration system has been legislated on. The original roots of the U.S. immigration system, the first immigration law was the Chinese Exclusion Act, and our immigration system is built on a premise of exclusion.
We live in modern times. We can't include everybody, right? Right? there are rules. You want to play in the NFL? You go through training camp. They have 100 players. By the end of it, there's 53. 47 players will be excluded from participating on that team. That's the rule. We have rules, right? We have rules. Period. So I know Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It sounds great that that we can be more inclusive, which I think we can. And I tell you guys, last week I talked about it to several people, some of which are in government. And I said, why don't we do something here in North America like they do in Europe, where we can freely move about each other's countries, but maybe not to the extent that they do in Europe, but that we have a certain amount of freedoms granted to people coming from Mexico and maybe Central America, us going to Mexico or Central America if we wanted to work, or Canada and vice versa, that we have a little bit of that. And that we set up a certain amount of visas aside, easier to get than other people that are coming here from all over the place. Why not? That's being inclusive to our neighbors, right? To our top hat and tails here in America, right? Because Canada is America's top hat and Mexico's America's tails, top hat and tails. It's perfect. It's a smart thing to do. That's part of the problem. It's right in front of us. I think it would be great. Allowing freedom to move about the countries a little bit far easier than we have now, but being able to keep tracks of things, and then being able to then, on top of that, come down harder on people that really do come here illegally and harder on businesses. Oh, my God, it would be great. But this whole thought of getting rid of ICE or we need to let in anybody, that's insane.
It's built on a premise of choosing who we want out instead of who we want in. Yeah. And I think that really we need to re-examine the values on which, and values of inclusion and values of what this country is about when we talk about our immigration policy.
Yeah. What is it? What is it? Values of inclusion. People want to come here. They're going to come here. Right? If we gave them the opportunity, a good portion, overnight, we would probably become the second most populous country on earth, potentially over time, the first most populous country on earth. We can't do that. That's insane. Do you realize how insane that is? We're not even in that. That's crazy. But this is what some people think, and they need to, we got to get rid of this. We got to get rid. It's not inclusive enough. We got to get rid of things like ICE.
No border, no wall. We want freedom for us all. No border, no wall. We want freedom for us all. Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE!
Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE! Oh, yeah, abolish ICE. What? Stupid. That's insane. See, it'd be one thing if they came on and said, we need to relook at ICE and maybe doing some things differently. We need to put in something else that will be whatever. What they want is kinder, gentler. They want more. They don't want laws enforced. They want everybody to be looked at as being victimized by this country, not realizing when people come here legally, not only are they breaking the law, they're stepping over people that have done it right. Right? And on top of that, then they come here with this attitude of, well, I deserve this, this, and this. This is what everybody else is getting. Why shouldn't I get this? We've got to take a step back. We've got to look at this thing in a very real way. But saying we're going to throw everything away because of we need to be more inclusive, it doesn't work. Sorry. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I love these people say, well, I'm a democratic socialist. We need to be more inclusive. Yeah, I'm more like Sweden. Sweden is the least inclusive place on earth. Go there. What do you find? Right? Go there. Go to Denmark. Go to all these places. They're all the same. They're not inclusive. Well, they've allowed it to a certain extent, but they've stopped that because they've seen what some of this inclusiveness has given them. No, we need to be smart. That's it. But we can't because there's no money in it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Historically, Republican voters have been much more mobilized by the Supreme Court, judges, Roe versus Wade than Democratic voters. And I think it's entirely possible that if you have the confirmation before November of a fifth justice who could well vote to overturn Roe, that could have a galvanizing effect on the Democratic electorate.
Yeah, it could. Question of the day, just posted it. Do you think Roe v. Wade will be overturned? Based on this pick, based on the fact that a lot of people out there think it's going to be, 16% say yes, 64% says no, it won't, 20% are undecided. But a lot of the conservatives out there feel it's going to be overturned. And I'm here to tell you, I don't think it is. And you're just going to have to, at some point in time, let it go. But I don't want to let it. You just got to let it go. There are other things. And as Kate Shaw said right there, you don't want to be heading into midterms where you've got an economy that's strong. You feel like on the immigration side, people are starting to side with you to undo all of that. And then also to set a precedent where you're going to retry and relitigate and then rejudge, if you will, a case that for many is settled. It's done. That's something that's like, But remember, this is about getting heard, right? This is about placating your voice. Most of these people realize these things aren't going to go away. Most of these people have an understanding that, yes, states may challenge certain aspects of it. They may want to set their own laws for it. They won't make it fully illegal, but they will put some more hoops out there, whether it's Roe v. Wade or some of these other things. There is that possibility, just like states do with guns and other things. That's the whole point. Our founding fathers want our states to have those rights to do these things. In saying that, you got to scream and yell because it's how you raise money. The minute Kennedy retired, everybody who belongs on a mailing list, whether it's right or left, when it comes to politics, you got some sort of email asking for money. You did. You've got some sort of email saying, hey, I want dollar bills, yo. Where are the dollar bills? I need dollar bills. We're going to fight this. We need dollar bills. Where do we get dollar bills? It's crazy. It is. But this is what we have at this moment, at this time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. What do you think? Do you think Roe v. Wade is in trouble? Do you think there's a possibility that it's going to go away at any time soon? I don't think so. I don't think they should do it. I think it's settled. It's been ruled upon. And the way I look at life is you're given choices in life. Some of them is to turn right instead of left. Some of them is to go straight. Some of them it's to be an airline pilot. And some of them you make bad choices throughout your life. And the reason you're not an airline pilot is because you made so many bad choices you can't get hired anywhere. That is, in a lot of ways, what life is about. And you make choices. That may not be your choice. But I don't want to take away any other choices. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of choices, the civility that we live in nowadays is very, very well, it's fragile at best when it comes to politics. Alan Dershowitz is being hammered. Over the weekend, Mitch McConnell wearing jeans was not a good look for Mitch, was out there, and he was confronted in Louisville.
Vote you out! Vote you out!
Yeah, we know where you live, too, Mitch. We know where you live. We know where you live, Mitch.
Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE!
Abolish ICE!
Abolish ICE!
Abolish ICE!
Not going to happen. Again, another craziness, but there they were. We know where you live, Mitch. That's not a good thing to say. That to me, when you say something like that to a politician or to somebody, I know where you live, you're not saying it with, oh, and we're going to come by and we're going to totally flyer your neighborhood with your jury. That says a little, that feels like it's a little bit more. Right? Then you got Alan Dershowitz, who's getting hammered for coming out and talking about the fact that, he sticks up for not for Trump, but for the rights of the person that just happens to be Trump who they're talking about. And he's getting pissed because he says, look, I'm getting hammered for it. I'm getting hammered for it even worse than when I defended OJ. As if to say, I know he was guilty and I could see why you were mad at me then. This guy, you want him to be guilty so bad. And even though he's liberal, right, he looks at the law and the law should be blind. And he's getting destroyed at Martha's Vineyard, he says, because nobody wants to talk to him anymore.
If I were a lawyer for Donald Trump, I'm not. I'm an objective, neutral person who's making the same arguments.
Your friends on the Vineyard don't seem to think so,
Well,
sir.
they're wrong. I'd be making exactly the same arguments. Look, hypothetically, if Hillary Clinton had been elected, which I was hoping, I contributed, I worked hard for her, and she were being subject to impeachment and investigation, I'd be making the same arguments, and I'd be the hero of the Vineyard. The very same arguments I've been making, people would be applauding me and cheering me and loving me. These are hypocrites.
Yeah. But that's part of the whole thing is they're hypocrites. And they're hypocrites because we live in a world of hypocrisy. Say one thing, do another. We want freedoms unless those freedoms may in some way make us feel uncomfortable. I want freedom of speech, but it's only if it's a speech I like. Right? Otherwise, I don't want freedom of speech. And here's a guy who voted for Hillary, who for all intents and purposes, even though he's a neutral attorney, he's a liberal. He goes on there and he says something that people don't like to hear or don't want to hear. And remember, when people get upset over situations like that, when they flip out and they wig out and they do stuff, it's usually because you've challenged their truth with other truth that is above their truth, which are facts and not feelings, right? Their truth is based a lot of time on feelings. Things they've been told 1,000 times before, so they believe it. And now you've challenged it, and so they're angry. Dershowitz goes on. The reasons conservatives like him is not because he defends the president. It's because he's just speaking the truth. For some, it is the Trumpifites, the people out there who just live for Trump. It's that. But for a lot of other people, he's just being honest, right? And we attack honesty because a lot of times honesty is not only our friend, for some people, it's our enemy. Honesty is their enemy. Because if you come at something with an honest, real, hey, look, I've looked at all the facts here, right? I've looked at all of the facts, at least the facts that we have available. Remember, we don't always get all of the facts. We get 90% of the facts, 85%. But judged based on all the facts that I have, this is the truth. And then people are angry. Oh, my God. But for some people, that truth is their friend, and for other people, that truth becomes their enemy.
And loving me. These are hypocrites who don't understand that you make the same arguments no matter who the person is. If you're a neutral civil libertarian, you make these arguments. If you believe in the Constitution, there isn't one rule for Hillary Clinton, one rule for Donald Trump. There's one rule that applies to all Americans. That's the point I've been trying to make to blind responses, deaf responses, and an unwillingness to listen.
And that's the big thing, because you're challenging them. Unwilling to listen. Because you've said, and it's the same thing I say, and I get it all the time. It's like people say, well, would you be the same way with Hillary? I criticize the president. Like, the president at times is just ridiculous. I think most of the stuff that he's being chastised for is self-inflicted, and some of the stuff that he is being absolutely obliterated for, you know what? It's ridiculous. But doesn't mean I don't challenge him. Doesn't mean we shouldn't challenge him. We absolutely should. Right? You love your kid, but you don't let your kid get away with everything. You can love your president, but you just shouldn't let him get away with everything just because, well, I'm going to be blind to that. Although a lot of people do, right? A lot of people are blind to it. A lot of people are. This weekend, I was listening to a bit of Jordan Peterson's book. Great book. And talking about the fact that it's a perfect example of kids, right? Like, your little boy will do something to somebody else or even to another one of your kids, and you will somewhat chastise them, and then later on you'll go, you make them a sandwich, you tell them everything's great, blah, 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 blah. You go and you do these things because you want it to be that way for you. It's all the other kids' fault out there for all these other things. Right? It was very interesting. And that's the way we want it. We want it to be everybody else's fault. We want it to be everybody else's thing, not ours. Our belief is real. It's strong. It's just ridiculous. I get so frustrated. It's so tough. I used to love to talk because people come up to me. They know what you do. Hey, Chad, let me show, blah, 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 whatever it was. Or, hey, Chad, I hate you, blah, blah, blah. And they come up and they would talk politics. And it used to be kind of, yeah, it'd be okay. You know, I didn't like always to do it because, like, sometimes I just want to be shut down. You know, it's like, I just don't want to do it. The reality is, it's no fun anymore. It is polarizing. It is ridiculous. People don't want to hear the truth, right? They want to be that parent, that little kid. The truth is fine for everybody else, but my truth for my kid or my side is what it is, period, case closed, and you will never, ever change my story about it, period, case closed, end of story. It's a joke.
I argued against special counsel when Bill Clinton was investigated. I've been making that argument now for many years. I've been making argument against expansion of the criminal law for many years. And I've been arguing that a president can't commit a crime, whatever his motive may be. These are controversial arguments. Read my book. You'll read the arguments. They may be contra-arguments. I end the book by saying, debate me, beat me in argument, come up with better arguments, but don't ignore and don't shut down debate. That's not the American way.
Yeah. But that's what a lot of people want. Shut down the other side, and that way I win. That's not a real victory. It's not. It's not a real victory at all. For some people, it is. I loved playing sports. And sometimes, man, I tell you what, especially when I was younger, our team was really good, and so we played up 2 or 3 years, and a lot of times we know we're going to get thumped. You know what I would hate to know? Going into every game that I was going to win because the other team wasn't allowed to. That would be no fun. Why even play the sport at that time? Right? Why play the sport? But that's what we want now in our politics. We want the other side to be shut down, and we're only allowed to argue. We want to be the one that throws the punch, and they're not allowed to punch back. And that's on both sides of the aisle. That's how we want our politics. It's silly. All you should care about is the truth, right? Don't fall in love with politicians, right? Fall in love with the truth. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. We got your useless fact of the day straight ahead. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
I tweeted last night. I watched it. Producer Phil, you watched it. What'd you make of Travis Pastrana doing 3 of Evel Kenevel's jumps?
I thought Mr. Pastrami was great, but, you know, I tell you what, it didn't need to be 3 hours.
No, that it did not be. 3 hours was a bit much. And if you didn't watch it, Travis Pastrana did 3 of, he's a great X Games. I remember seeing him first on the X Games. I think he was 15 years old. He won the X Games like Big Vert or whatever. And he was in San Francisco, and he drove his motorcycle off the jump into the ocean, and he did like a flip. And he's older now. He's 34. He's got kids, the whole 9 yards. And it was interesting. He did 3 of Evel Kenevel's big jumps that at times Evel struggled with, including the biggest jump, which is the Caesars, where he jumped Caesars, which was, he did it rather easily. And that's been done before. People say, well, it's been done before. Yeah, it's been done before on modern bikes. Modern bikes are light. Modern bikes have more horsepower. Modern bikes are all of those things. They're built to fly like that. Remember, Evel Kenevel, basically, he had an Indian. He drove an Indian. People are going to say, that's racist. Just get over it. It's the name of the motorcycle. He drove, he had a Harley, and he didn't have the bikes that we see today. We see all these guys on Nitro Circus and stuff. So he did those 3 jumps yesterday, 400-pound bike, had the full leather suit on in Vegas, hot as hell. But he's a very interesting cat. Check this out. Here's Travis Pastrana talking about the fact that, as they talk about this, that people that come back from war and these extreme people, games people, the people that do crazy stuff, they sometimes have other issues.
It was neat to see how many military guys, actually more than anything, have come up to me and been like, dude, I've got the same thing, or dude, there's some guy that's in, our unit, or he screams every night, or he does this. I don't know per se that it's just action sports, or everyone. There's a lot of people that have night terrors, but it was kind of interesting for me how many more of my peers actually had that. Even like Ryan Sheckler, got up, and most of them, they kind of slows down as they get older. Where me, it's kind of sped up.
Yeah, he's got these night terrors that he struggled with, and he struggled with them bad. Listen to this. On an airplane,
I am most afraid and petrified of going to sleep on an airplane and waking up running through the halls, because right before 9/11, actually, I was going to the race, and I took off running at full sprint, yelling, just dropping all kinds of 4-letter words, screaming top of my lungs to the back, and we were on the runway still because I was just tired. We fell asleep before we even took off, and I had to walk back past all of my friends and all these people that were completely petrified, and all the way back up to the front where my seat was, and sit down. And I was like, it's okay. And then flight attendants on, everyone must remain in their seats. Like, yeah.
Night terrors, suffers with them, knocked his tooth out. He's done all kinds. He woke up one time in an elevator in just his underwear, which normally, being an X Games person, you could understand. But no, that had nothing to do with drink and party. It had all to do with night terrors. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Ever taken your car in, had an issue, mechanic finds something even worse. Next thing you know, you look up and you're out $1,500, $2,000. Guess what? Extended vehicle car protection from this amazing car shield company takes care of all that for you. They make the costs and the process of fixing your car for car repairs so easy. You pick your favorite mechanic or dealership. They do the work. It's your choice. You get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car where your car is being fixed. It is amazing. I have been there. I was just there. Car Shield handles business like there's no tomorrow. Save yourself thousands of future car repairs. Get covered by the ultimate extended vehicle protection like I did. Call 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson or visit carshield.com. Use code Benson to save 10%. You know how expensive things can be. A little sensor alone costs you over $1,000. Don't be silly. Do the smart thing. Get Car Shield. Go to carshield.com. Use code Benson or call 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson. A deductible may apply. You will not be disappointed. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Our poll question of the day. Do you think with the new justice being picked that Trump has that Roe v. Wade will be overturned? About 20% of you say yes. The rest of you pretty much are a no or undecided. I don't think it will be. A lot of people will. Your useless information of the day, kids. Evel Kenevel. How did he get his name? Wasn't born Evel Kenevel. He was actually in jail one night after having fun as a Ute. And there was a guy in jail with him, and his name was Knaufel. And everybody called him Awful Knaufel. He thought it was hilarious that it rhymed, so he said, I'm going to be called Evel Kenevel from now on. That's how he came about his name. Have yourself a good rest of your day. Back again tomorrow. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.